Hi, I had the privilege of visiting all 200 pavilions at Expo 2020 Dubai from 1st October 2021 to 31st March 2022. This global event brought together innovation, culture, and collaboration on an unprecedented scale. Featuring 193 country pavilions, each showcased unique ideas, technology, and cultural experiences. In this video, I'll take you inside the pavilion. So if you missed it, this is your chance to experience the culture, innovation, and creativity of the world in one place.
Hey guys, welcome back to my vlog. Okay, today's pavilion is going to be very different from the others we've visited so far. Usually when you walk around Expo 2020 Dubai, everything is loud, flashy, futuristic, and constantly trying to grab your attention. But today, we're visiting a pavilion that does the exact opposite. Welcome to the Austria Pavilion, and honestly, the second you walk near this place, you already feel the difference. Just look at the architecture in front of me. Instead of giant LED screens or crazy futuristic shapes, Austria created these huge white cone structures that almost look like giant clay towers or some kind of modern art installation. There are 38 of them, all different heights, all connected together. And at first, I thought this was just for aesthetics. But actually, the entire design has a purpose. These cone towers are inspired by traditional Arab wine towers, which naturally cool buildings using airflow instead of heavy air conditioning. Alright, let's go inside and see what makes this one so special. Okay, immediately after entering, I noticed something. The temperature changes, and no, it's not that aggressive freezing mall air conditioning. It feels natural, cool, soft, breathable, and apparently, that's because these walls are made using loam and clay materials that naturally regulate heat. So instead of forcing cold air everywhere, the building itself helps cool the space, which honestly feels way more comfortable. And as we walk through the pavilion, you realize something else. There are barely any giant screens, no overwhelming music, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this. This is one of the coolest concepts I've seen so far. No dramatic look at our technology energy. Instead, the pavilion focuses on senses, like actual human senses, and honestly, that makes this experience feel surprisingly emotional. Now we're entering one of the sensory areas called the Breath of Austria, and this section is all about atmosphere. You hear soft sounds in the background, water streams, wind through trees, birds, leaves moving, and the smell changes depending on where you stand. One area smells like pine forests from the Austrian Alps. Another smells warm, almost like fresh bread or nature after rain. And honestly, it's weirdly calming. Like, I didn't realize how overstimulating most Expo pavilions are until entering this one. This place feels like therapy. There's also something called the scent bar. And basically, you lean toward different stations and experience smells inspired by Austria's landscapes and culture, which sounds simple, but actually makes you slow down and pay attention. Because normally, we experience places mostly through photos and videos, but smell, that instantly creates memory. And I think Austria understands that very well. This pavilion doesn't just want you to see Austria, it wants you to feel it. Alright, now we're moving toward the innovation section. And I like this transition because after calming your mind, now they introduce technology and ideas. This area is called the Art Lab. And unlike some pavilions that focus on giant futuristic fantasies, Austria's approach feels more realistic and sustainable. They focus on how innovation can work with nature instead of against it. And honestly, I think this pavilion has one of the clearest sustainability messages at the Expo. You see displays about renewable energy, smart building systems, hydropower technology, and eco-friendly materials. There's also a lot about timber construction and using natural resources more intelligently. And one thing that caught my attention was how Austria is working on circular economy systems. Basically, reducing waste by constantly reusing materials instead of throwing them away. Which sounds obvious, but most countries still struggle to actually do it properly. There are displays showing bio-based plastics, textiles made from wood fibers, and systems where waste becomes useful again instead of ending up in landfills. And honestly, I appreciate that this pavilion doesn't try too hard to look flashy, because the ideas themselves are interesting enough.
Right. So I don't know what will happen to the other pavilion, but the Austrian pavilion, it would not be very sustainable if you just build this main structure. Specifically wanted to have a design that could easily also be transported and further used later on. At this current stage, there are, if I'm not mistaken,
Also, random thought, this pavilion feels very Austrian somehow. Minimalist, quiet, organized, clean. Like, even the silence feels expensive. And I mean that in a good way. Because after walking through super intense, loud pavilions all day, this place genuinely feels like a reset button.
Did you see this over here?
Not yet.
This is the hearing cone. So when you walk around, there'll be different sounds from Austria coming at you.
Oh, really?
And it's like a little sitting in the mountains and chilling out a little. And the crazy thing about all these buildings is when they are 15 meters tall, with standing in the middle and you speak, it's really loud for you, but not for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can try it out. Walk around, try the middle part. It's really fun.
Hello. 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 Hello.
Hearing, if you walk around, you hear different sounds from Austria coming at you. Just relax a little, walk around. And fun thing, if you stand in the middle and you talk, it's really loud for yourself.
I think the Austria Pavilion is one of the most underrated experiences in Expo 2020 Dubai. Because it's not trying to overwhelm you every second. Instead, it creates a feeling. Calmness, breathing space, mental clarity, and honestly, that might be even harder to achieve than giant technology shows. This pavilion proves that sustainability isn't only about saving the planet. It's also about creating healthier ways for humans to live, think, and exist. And walking through this place honestly felt less like visiting an exhibition and more like taking a deep breath. Alright guys, that's it for today's vlog. Thank you for joining me on this peaceful little journey through the Austria Pavilion here at Expo 2020 Dubai. And if you enjoyed this experience, don't forget to stay tuned because there are still so many more pavilions, cultures, and stories waiting to be explored together. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Auf Wiedersehen. Bye.